You are listening to Fast Track Podcast, the place to be to fast track your personal finance or fast track your business, or both, through a series of conversations with those who have learned it, done it, and made it. Before starting the episode, I have very exciting news to share with you. I am collaborating with financial imagineer Matthias Richter to launch the Fast Track Money course. This 6-week online course is designed to help young professionals in their 20s to early 40s to learn how to save more, earn more, and invest, using money as a tool to fulfill your dreams. We teach you the proven method that Matthias has been using himself in the last 20 years and achieved financial independence. So sign up today on fasttrack.live/money course to transform your relationship with money from today. Faisal is a tech professional, coach, mentor, and championing underdogs. He walked away from a high-paying, super secure job and go and start from scratch in the middle of a global pandemic. Faisal did everything he was told to do. Go to university, get a great job, buy a house, and he lived an amazing life. Yet something was missing. He thought he was doing great, ahead of curve. It was an illusion. He found himself stuck in mediocrity. He compared himself to those around him when he should have been comparing himself with himself. Eventually, he found that something is missing. It was purpose. Since then, everything has changed, and his mission is to teach people what they don't teach you at school, so you can too live a 10x life. In this episode, we talk about how he reinvented himself and his 10x lifestyle. Let's hear about it. Hi, Faisal. Welcome to Fast Track Podcast.
Hi, Yessie. Pleased to be here. Thanks very much.
And after 20 years in the corporate world, as you are a tech executive, and how did you decide to change your career since you have to give up this 20 years working experience, right? Your expertise in this domain, and then become a life coach with a completely different career. What triggered you to do so? How did you make that jump?
Yeah, see, for a while now, for many years, I knew something was missing. And I saw people around me struggling. I saw them being perhaps aggressive, a little bit unhappy in their jobs, or just frustrated. And that's what I felt. And when I dug deep into it, it was not really what they were doing. It was the life behind it. It was what they were doing at home. And I realized as I got to know these people, they were really unsatisfied. They were not getting promotions, so they were blaming somebody, or they were not happy, or the bonuses were not where they were. And a lot of people were struggling with what came down to money. And I thought, I've got to help this, I've got to do something about it. So I started mentoring people on the side, friends of friends. And I started helping them getting their money right, making progress, getting promotions. And it made me so satisfied that I was doing something that served a bigger purpose. And that's when I came to a discovery of, well, maybe this is my purpose. Maybe this is what I need to do.
Did you discover that your talent in helping people manage their money because you helped your friends and families, and later on you decided, okay, this is the path I can take? Or how did you discover which direction you're going?
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, and I went on a pursuit. So I started looking around, I started looking at people around me, and I started to hang around with people who were thinking bigger than me, because I was around the same circles, having lunch with the same people, and I was not mentally growing. We were just kind of each other asking questions. So I started to hang around with people who thought bigger than me, which my job allowed me to do because I was going with directors and C-levels and everything. And I realized that people were saying, read books, read this, read that, take a look at this. And I made a list of books and I started reading them. And it was when I started reading that inspiration happened and I learned more. I think one of the first books I read was Simon Sinek's Start With Why. This was amazing. This was just an eye-opener. And there was actually exercises and questions that I asked myself. And then I went on to read Grant Cardone's 10X Rule. And that just blew my mind. It was like, oh my God, I'm in mediocrity. And this is how it really came about.
At what point that you have made up your mind, like, okay, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to start something new? Is there any moment that trigger you, or you planned it 3 months or 6 months ahead of time?
I always knew that there's a glass ceiling. I'm never going to be a partner at my ex-employer. That's for sure. And the more I looked around me at my boss's boss, that's not where I want to go. And also, I felt like I don't want anybody else to control where I'm going and the speed that I want. I approached one of my directors directly for lunch. We went out for lunch, and I said, "You decide what type of yogurt I'm going to eat when I'm retired. You decide which type of apartment I'm going to live in when I'm retired. This is the impact that you have on your life." And he goes, "Yeah, you give too much importance to management." That's what his reply was. And the truth is, I didn't. It's true that he decides at my growth and where I'm going to go in this life. And I didn't want to give that kind of power away. So it was a long-term planning that I need to now go and do something else. But I didn't know what that was until I started reading. And then the pandemic happened. And the pandemic for me was an opportunity. For a lot of people, it wasn't, but it was a fantastic opportunity where I could talk to my employer and say, "You know what? I think it's time to call it a day."
This will be a very classic sentence. It's going to be a time to call it a day. It reminds me of my conversation with Dan Ram in the 4th episode, I think. Like, this pandemic totally ruined his career in a way, because he's an event MC and all the events are canceled. But he somehow remodeled his business and then became a virtual event MC, and he's having different revenue streams. So I really believe that this pandemic is a difficult situation, but for those who is willing to reinvent themselves, to look out for opportunities, to keep learning, and they will actually make something great out of it. Like, you started your business during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great opportunity. And I mean, I did not plan on starting it last year, but the opportunity happened, things locked down, and this was actually a great time to invest. This was a great time to drill down on the other income streams that I had going. Because, yeah, see, I've been growing my income streams for years, and they were bringing in money, but I wasn't focusing on them. I was focusing on my primary income stream, which was my work. But some of them were giving me fantastic yields. And I'm like, I need to drill down on that. I need to drill down on my real estate portfolio. I need to drill down on my stocks. And then when I did, I 10x'd it. Literally, last year, I made more money off my other funnels than I did on my salary. And that also gave me a comfort, that gave me a comfort that I kind of felt financially free. So, okay, maybe I can go and have some investment time and go and do some lessons. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? Yes, yeah. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging.
10x everything. That's your aim.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then looking back, what do you wish to have known earlier? What do you wish you should have done earlier?
That's a great question. I wish I knew that nothing in life is guaranteed, because during my graduation, actually, I worked for Nokia, and Nokia at that time was like Apple today. They offered me a summer job there, and when I graduated, they said, "Hey, you want to come back and work for us? You're going to get a company car, you're going to get a BMW, all your fuel is paid for, you're going to have a mobile phone, a laptop, and you can work from home." Now, this was in 1998, by the way. This is when none of this really happened. But they made it as if I'm going to go through life, I'm going to have a great career, they're going to take care of me, and I'm going to grow. This was the sales pitch when I talked to them, and I'm going to have a great retirement. The truth is, they can't guarantee that, because I know people who worked there at that time. A few years later, Nokia had some difficulties. They all got fired. So the most important thing that I wish I knew was that nothing in life is guaranteed. Because ever since then, I've seen so many people get laid off, early retirement, or get fired because there's no jobs, the company's not doing well. And we're not taught about that. Nobody teaches that.
I think most people, that when they have a job, it's kind of stable for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to 7 years down the road, then there's a basic assumption that I will have this job forever. But like what you said, for me, I always feel very insecure when my livelihood is dependent on one job. So back to what you mentioned earlier, multiple income streams. And how would you advise people to create different types of income streams? If, let's say, someone in their early 20s or early 30s, haven't really gone through this 20 to 25 years working experience and accumulate wealth, but right from start, what would you advise?
Hey, it depends on people's means. The first thing you need to spend on is investing in yourself. Invest in yourself, because that's something that nobody can take away from you. You've got it with you. The return on investment on investing on yourself is huge, and that could be a training course, that could be getting familiar with how money works. Learn already about how money works. People don't want to spend, they want to save. This is the worst thing you can do, is to have money sitting in a bank account. The interest rate in the UK is like 0.02%. If you have £100,000 in your bank account, or your father does, or your mother, in the UK, you will get £120. I think my calculation is correct. I think it's £120 per year. If you have 10,000 francs in Switzerland in your bank account, what do you get? Like 10 francs or something? I don't know. I think it's 0.01% here.
Yeah, and also the more you have in Swiss banks, the more you need to pay with negative interest rate.
Well, yeah, in Switzerland we have the negative interest as well. And Grant Cardone uses a phrase. He's the guy who created the 10x movement. He says, cash is trash. Cash is trash. It's like pieces of paper. It's there for a rainy day, but you know what? You never use it. What happens is you grow it, you grow it, you grow it. Maybe our older generation, when they retire, my father, he deprived himself of everything. He used to be a taxi driver, amongst other things. His house is paid for. And what's going to happen is when he goes away, that money's going to go down the heritage. My siblings, they're going to be married. Their wives are probably going to go out and buy a 4x4 with that money. Maybe they're going to redo the kitchen, But that's not what my father worked for, But that's what happens. He should be spending it on himself, going traveling, fulfilling his ambitions, or investing in himself. That's going to give the greatest return of investment. So I say, honestly, to grow your funnels, invest in yourself. When you invest in yourself, it's going to come to you. Maybe you want to do a little real estate project. You could start with 10,000 francs. You could start with £10,000. You could get on the real estate ladder. It will make you 6% a year, pretty much outside Switzerland, because in Switzerland it's a little bit more difficult. But across Europe, you can look for a 6% return. In a 6% return, in not too many years, you can double your money.
Yeah. And you mentioned several times 10x. Can you explain to our audience what is this 10x concept about?
Sure. So the 10x rule is actually a book, and I explained that there's two elements. That you need to think your goals 10 times bigger than what you're thinking today, and then you need to go at them with 10 times more action, because nobody's doing that. So, for example, if your goal is to, have you ever noticed, Yassi, if you want to earn $90,000 or 90,000 francs a year, you get to about 84,000, and that's the limit, and you're like, shit, oh dear, I can't get there. And the thing is, how about you think about 1 million? It changes the way you think. And 10x is also a concept that Google uses, because it changes the way you think about it. So then you're not thinking about asking your boss for a promotion. You're thinking about, how do I make money work for me? And if you come short, it's better to come short 10x your goal rather than 1x your goal.
I had an experience on that. I totally agree with you. I remember when I was in business school in Singapore, everybody, I say, they don't want to have A. They don't want to get A's. You know why?
Because they have to get A's again?
Because they want to get A plus. Not everybody get A or A plus because of this bell curve thing. But so many people, they aim so much higher than what to other people is not realistic. But in the end, they maybe get A minus. But if they do not aim A plus, they might just get around B. Back to what you said, aim higher, even you do not achieve it, but still better than when you set a lower goal.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's what the 10x rule is all about. It's about big thinking and going at it with really 10x the effort.
And how did this 10x mentality create an impact in your life after you learned about it?
So, I was investing in stocks. I've been investing in stocks since 2010 and it's been doing fine. I had property since 2000 and it's been doing fine, but I never looked at it. I just ignored it. And, I can tell you, I thought, okay, I'm going to be fine. Everything's okay. It's ticking. But there was huge potential here. And at the same time, I'm trying to strive for a promotion where maybe I'm going to get a 5% increase. I'm like, hold on, why don't I look across my other pillars? And when I read this book, The 10X Rule, I looked across everything I had at the opportunities and I thought, I can do something with my real estate portfolio. I can do something. I hadn't increased the rents in 20 years. That's an easy 10% increase.
Where is it?
That was in the UK. I had 2 properties in the UK, one for students, one for private. They were getting a great deal, by the way, because they were paying rents that
10 years. I mean, the property price in UK the last years is skyrocketing, no?
Yeah, my attention wasn't there. It's like when we save money in the bank, your attention isn't there. You think it's growing. It's not growing. It's growing at the price of a Starbucks coffee every year. That's what you can buy with, but you don't think about that. And it's actually devaluating. So when I got that concept right, I drilled down, I 10x'd on what was growing. I was like, geez, my stock portfolio, what am I doing here? And I've written some blogs, some articles on my stocks. And I actually go into some of the figures because afterwards, a lot of people ask me, how much did you put in or what was the yield? So I actually talk about that, or what kind of investment. And I was like, this is where I need to put the efforts. I sold my cars. I had 2 cars. I sold them. I traded down my apartment. I reduced my costs and I put everything, I piled it all into the bank.
Because you want to...
Because I wanted to invest. In 2014, Yassi, I was about to buy a Tesla car. I was about to sign on the dotted line. And there's actually, I wrote an article with a photo of me at the garage, at the dealership, about to sign. And I didn't sign because I didn't know where to charge it. That was in 2014. And what I did was I hung about, I loved the product, I loved the car. And I tested all the competition. I said, there's something here. And I waited. And in 2016, I spent money on the stock. So the deposit for the car, which was about 30,000, I put it into Tesla stock.
You are one of the Tesla millionaires, apart from the Bitcoin millionaires.
Yeah, I didn't get to $1 million with Tesla. But and now I'm out of Tesla, by the way. But it did very well for me. That's actually, it answers your question. And I actually decided I don't actually need a car. I certainly don't need 2 cars. I actually made a spreadsheet and calculated they were costing me 1,000 francs, which is about $1,000, just sitting in the underground garage before I even started them.
Per month?
That was 1 car per month, yeah.
Yeah.
The insurance, the plates, the servicing. You don't drive it, you still have to service it.
The tax,
And the tax and the devaluation. People always forget the devaluation. But when you buy $100,000 car, it's not worth $100,000 in 2 years' time. Maybe it's worth 50, whether you drive it or not.
Interesting. I had a YouTube live channel talking about buy or rent a car. Like, car is the only thing that for many people is a status symbol, but you get it out of the garage, brand new car, and then immediately 20% discount at the current value. So why people buy something that they lose money immediately?
And I'm a complete victim of that because I used to change my car every 2 years. And I don't know why, but I didn't understand. And I was bored as well. I didn't know where to put my money, what to do with it. I thought I had more money than I needed. And now when I did my calculations, when I read the 10X rule, when I read books like The 100-Year Life, that pretty much it's by 2 people from the London School of Economics. And they're saying that we have a crisis coming ahead. The millennials today, we will live to 100. They stop working at 65. The money that they save will run out at 85. What are we going to do? And they talk about this. It's a fantastic book. I recommend it as well. But yeah, it kind of like gave me a real wake-up call to what's coming up. And we need to prepare for it.
And in my bio, also you mentioned, I mentioned to the audience that you compared yourself with to those who are around you, and you should have been comparing yourself with yourself. What do you mean by that?
When I was growing up, I had a best friend And we were kind of betting each other. We're going to compare our bank balances every year. And, it was kind of like a football game for us. It was like a scorecard. Who's going to have the biggest one? And later in life, I realized that I should not be comparing myself to other people. I should not be comparing myself to my colleagues. I should be comparing myself to myself and what I can do and what I want to do. Because that's the only person that really counts. If you're not fulfilling your potential, you're going to feel it. If you're overwhelmed, you're going to feel it. When I started doing that, and I started saying, well, you know what? I will take the risk of losing my car, losing my investments, and I will be happy if I have to sleep on a couch again, because I don't have kids. With somebody who's got kids, it's going to be different. But there are also different sacrifices they can make. There's always, a flaw of what is acceptable. And if you can do that, and you can understand that, and you can say, this is what I'm willing to do, but this is the reward. Because, Yassi, we always hear, what if it doesn't work? How many people have called me up and told me that? And I said, what if it does work? And when they think, yeah, well, if it works, then I can do this. I can provide for my children. I can give them a better education. Maybe we can travel abroad. Is it worth the risk? Oh, maybe it is. And I think it's important to remember that.
A lot of things you mentioned is really about mindset switch. In general, we live in a society with social media, with kind of education from the families or friends, what we see from our colleagues. We tend to behave or think certain things is what we want. But in reality, people are different. We all have different pursuit. Then if we think what they have is what we want, and that is not really the right way, because maybe you want different things. So I cannot agree more with you than that, with the social media and the impact on the millennials generation's mindset. It is very important to read books and then change perspective. And then coming back to change perspective, in your coaching, how do you help people to 10x their life? How do you coach people to become better and change their mindset?
Just going back to the role models we have, the parents, the teachers, the peers, they promote being average is like a safe haven, but it's not. Average is a level of action that's most dangerous because people think it's enough. The truth is that people say they're content, they have enough, they're comfortable. You cannot say what enough is unless you know when you're going to die. If you know when you're going to die, you can work back and say, this is what I need. And people don't actually do that. The peers and what we have around us, the role models are really, really important. Most of us grow up in poverty, in the middle class, and then we take on the beliefs of the poverty and the middle class. And then we pass those on from generation to generation to generation. And it's a cycle that repeats itself. What I want to go and do with people is to really go back to the mindset. And that's where I start with and say, what's your destination? I use an analogy when you create a business, every business has a business plan. Well, every person should have a plan about what their destination is, where they want to go. What's the destination that you put in the GPS? What's your North Star? And that's what I help people figure out. What does their life look like in 7 categories? And once they know that's what they want, that's what they want to do, that's what they want to experience in their life, then we can, reverse engineer that. Where do you need to be in the next 10 years? Where do you need to be this year? Where do you need to be today? What do you need to be doing tomorrow? And that's when the magic happens. And people see results very fast.
To get the clarity in life.
That's right, yeah.
And how do you help people find out what they want? What is their goal? Because I assume maybe many people have never thought about that question.
Yeah, so I do a series of exercises to try and drill down into what people's purpose is essentially. But it's a very broad question, and purpose and fulfillment it's getting bigger and bigger at the moment. I do a series of exercises so they get to imagine what they want to live back, what they want to give back, and what they want to experience during this life, how they want to live. Do they want to live in their home? What sort of education do they want for their children, for their families? What do they want to experience? What do they want to visit? Once you get an idea, and people know that, and there's even a psychological exercises that say that sometimes your ideal career or what you want to do in your job goes back to what you imagined as a child between the ages of 7 and 12. What you enjoy in your job usually goes back to, you can make the connection of what you wanted to be when you were 7 and 12.
Interesting. Maybe I should receive those questions.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to tell the audience, like a key message to help them take away from our conversation today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. It's super important to have goals. And if you're not excited in life today, if you're not jumping out of bed excited, it's because your goals are not big enough. That's it. When you want to lose half a kilo, I know I'm not excited. When I want to lose 10 kilos, ooh, I get excited. When I want to get a promotion, I'm not so excited. When I want to change jobs and go for a super high job, oh, then I'm excited. And so I say, make goals. It's important to work out your destination and get excited. Think big, think bigger, and get excited about them. One thing I want to say is that be around people who think bigger than you do. That really helped me, because there's no shortage of success on this planet. That's one thing, there may be a limit in many things, in resources, but success, there is no limit. You can go wherever you want in life. And that's what I really want to share.
And my last question following that, how to find successful people, like people who are successful in certain areas that, for example, me, I want to be like that. If in your daily life, you're hanging out with the same bunch of people, like what's your tip?
You need to scale up. You need to reach out to meet new people who have like-minded interests. And it's not so difficult. You and I met over LinkedIn, I believe.
Yes.
So, that's how this conversation happened. And if you go out there, especially today, because nobody's outside, nobody's meeting up. Where are they? They're all online. So it's easier than ever because everybody is in the same place online. Go and join the groups that you want to join. If you want to learn how to be a speaker, go and join speaking groups. If you want to learn whatever skill it is, you can find a group today to do that and meet with like-minded people in your area, or indeed people who are already doing what you want to do. And you'd be surprised if you reach out to them. I'm surprised by how many people will actually want to have a conversation, want to help, because everybody wants to help. Tony Robbins, he says, you might be happy, but if you want true fulfillment in life, you need growth and you need contribution. You need to give back. Humans need to give back. People, I realize when I reach out to them, nobody reaches out to the people at the top. But when I've reached out, I've always had somebody come back. It's where the magic happens.
I receive so many LinkedIn message. I'm also very happy to connect with people. And I cannot agree more with what you have said. This internet space has made the world so much smaller. As long as you want to take initiative, reach out to people, you can always make new networks. And your company is called Wake Up Mentor, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Your coaching, mentoring service. And can you tell the audience where they can find you online or learn more about your services, helping them 10x their life?
Absolutely. So the best place to start is wakeupmentor.com. That's just a landing page where you will have access to all my social media feeds. I'm biggest on LinkedIn. That's where I'm really, because my primal audience of millennials that I want to help are mostly on there. But you will find links to connect. And if you sign up for my newsletter at the bottom, it's for Fast Track Podcasts. It's a special for you guys listening today. You'll get a free wake-up call with me where we can have a one-to-one conversation. I'm going to take you through an exercise and you're going to come out with a huge awakening to where you want to go in life. You're going to get some ideas of maybe that destination, what that could look like. And also, I'll give you 7 days access to Grant Cardone's university platform, where you've got courses on money, wealth, real estate, finding a job. You've got access to all these kind of courses. You've got 7 days access for free, which I'm happy to share with people on this podcast. If they reach out, they just go to wakeupmentor.com, scroll to the bottom and fill out the email for everything's there.
That's amazing. I will make sure that all the links are in the show notes and everybody can find you online, or they can reach out to you in person if they're in this region. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a very inspiring conversation with you, and I hope you enjoy it too.
Thanks, Yessie. It's been great.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fast Track Podcast. Show me your support by liking this episode and sharing it with your friends. Join the Facebook group at Fast Track Podcast 1, or you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and of course the homepage fasttrack.life. See you in the next episode.